I got Mike Halpin. I got Matt Souza. Bam, we're live. Woo! Here we are. We're going to figure it out, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to tell you. Well, let me rephrase that. Hello, and welcome to the show. Today, for your entertainment, Mike Halpin and Brian Friend will try to explain to me, the CEO of CrossFit, how you can be just a regular layman and make it to the CrossFit Games. You guys think you guys are going to be able to explain it to me?
Well, I have a little bit of experience with doing that, and Mike is very well prepared.
Okay. Well,
that's a
yeah.
So we're fine.
And on that note, Sousa is gone. Hey, Sousa, you may have to come in and like if they
You're
start
right
using
him.
big words and like 3 numbers that go into 3 or 4 digits long. Because I tried to read the article and I saw that Madero's got 10,000 points and I just tuned out. I was like, whoa.
I got you. I'll be jumping in and out.
Too many points. Too many. Okay. Let's Brian, let me start with you and ask in 2022, can you sum up how people got to the CrossFit Games in 2022?
Yep.
The last CrossFit Games.
Yep. For the male and individual fields, it was identical qualifying process. You go through the open. If you did well enough, you'd advance to the quarterfinals. If you did well enough in your continent or region, you would advance to the semifinals. And if you did well enough there, then you would make it to the CrossFit Games. At the start of the season, it was already known exactly how many spots would be allotted from every semifinal, and that there would be a last chance qualifier opportunity for athletes who narrowly missed qualifying to compete one extra time in an online format for the final 2 spots to round out the field of 40.
And I used to watch a lot of NFL football, and I remember that sounds exactly how it was. Like you played, then the best team started like getting whittling down to less and less and less. But there was also like this other bracket where like 2 ass teams, like it was that was comparable to our last chance qualifier. They got to play. What were those 2 teams like? Right? Isn't there something like that, or there used to be when I used to watch it?
Yeah, there are a variety of different. It's kind of like the play-in game in the Major League Baseball now. Like you play 162 games, and then these 2 teams that are very, very close play one final game, and the winner of that game actually gets to play in the postseason.
Okay. Is there an echo?
I haven't heard one.
Is it me?
I actually think it's me, Mr. Halpin. I wish it was you. I'd love to blame someone. Okay, so that makes total sense to me. I can follow that. If you win, you move forward.
Mm-hmm. And there were a known number of spots, or the pattern of how you move forward was known for each stage of the season.
And outside the individual event, where you had to kind of and the scores in the individual, like if you watched a semifinal, after each event, they would tally the scores, and there would be a scoreboard, and you could see who moved on. And there was always that excitement between if like 5 people were going from one region, there would always be that excitement after that last event as we waited 4th, 5th, and 6th place to kind of shuffle out.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that. Do you like that? I like that. That seems easy for me to follow along while I ride the assault bike or drink margaritas, whatever I do.
There are definitely a lot of positives about the format the way it was last year. One of them being that it's very easy to understand and that everything was known ahead of time. So we knew exactly how many spots from every semifinal there would be when those eventually happened. And then it was just a matter of being good enough to get there and good enough once you got there.
Okay. Halpin, do you agree? That's a pretty easy format to follow?
Yeah, and it was the second year of that format. So it's just a continuation of doing the same thing twice, which is unusual for CrossFit.
And you didn't need pen and paper or anything to figure it out. Like you could just be drunk on your couch watching it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the best way.
Yeah.
But there were also some limitations with that system.
Okay.
Which was primarily that it didn't matter how well the athletes that did qualify from their region did. They didn't have an opportunity to earn other spots for other athletes from their part of the world. So in theory, if 3 athletes qualified from Oceania and they finished first, second, and third at the games, it would make no difference relative to if they finished last, second to last, and third to last at the games in terms of Oceania's potential to send athletes to the games the following year.
Meaning that the CrossFit Games was people coming from the best regions, not necessarily the best athletes in the world competing. Is that the byproduct of that?
Well, the byproduct is that your competitive performance didn't earn you or lose you any spots in subsequent years. And in a similar, along a similar line of thinking, we did not have, and we still might not in this year, probably will not have the fittest 40 athletes in the world competing at the CrossFit Games because a certain number of spots were reserved for everyone globally.
Right. And I can kind of get my head wrapped around that too, right? Because that's sort of the way, going back to the NFL, it's not necessarily the 2 best teams playing in the Super Bowl. It's the 2 best teams playing from whatever those conferences are, correct?
Right. You might have the 2 best teams play in the game before the Super Bowl.
Right. And I'm not saying one is right, and I'm not saying that the NFL by any means is smarter than what the people at CrossFit, by no fucking means. They're influenced by all sorts of dumb shit, brought to you by Pfizer. So yes, I'm just trying to use the NFL to understand where we're going.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the World Cup also, isn't that like there's every country has a chance to go, but there's a
Here you go, Brian.
Turns out that
how does that one work?
It turns out that every few decades in the World Cup they also overhaul the system, and there will be that will be happening this.
Is Justin Berg also running the World Cup?
I don't know, but there's going to be a change from the qualifying system that most people are used to until the next year, where there'll be significantly more teams able to qualify for that tournament. And they are in a very similar situation, actually, to what's going on with CrossFit here, which is they don't have a good solution. Like the proposals of how they're going to manage the extra teams there, I've read through 3 or 4 different ones. It's like immediately easy to poke holes in all of them. There's not a good answer that I've seen. So it feels like they've come up with a format without really having an execution plan for the format, the World Cup I'm talking about, for the next time around. So we'll see what happens there. That's what I don't.
Okay, this makes me feel better.
Yeah, but I think that, regardless if you're CrossFit or the NFL or the World Cup, like you should be avoiding that. Like you should have a very clear plan of how to explain easily whatever the qualifying system is or the format for the competition is.
Salo Ree, I'm late. Who is this guy? She's helping. She's talking about you. She's got to be
just here for the looks.
Yeah, Candy. He's eye candy. Eye candy. Okay, and so this year there has been a major overhaul for how you get to the CrossFit Games, or at least it looked that way when I tried to read those articles. I just kind of started, like, after a few sentences, I started glassing out. I was like, oh, I need paper and pencil to read this. I'm probably not going to read this.
Yeah. So then that's, I think that probably happened to a lot of people, which is perfect that we have the opportunity to talk to someone like that right now.
Okay. So let's, can you, go ahead.
Your question, is it a major overhaul? So I would say yes and no. In the reason of no, the format that I described to you, where you have to participate in the Open, you have to do well enough to get to quarterfinals, you have to do well enough to get to semifinals, and you have to do well enough at semifinals to get to the games, is the same. The only exception is there's no more last chance qualifier, and the spots at the semifinals have a minimum, but we don't know the exact allotment at each semifinal in terms of number of spots to qualify to the CrossFit Games. So those are the 2 main differences.
Halpin, do you agree with that? Because I want to punch a hole in what Brian's saying. The way I'm understanding it, and then you go, Halpin, is that you could possibly finish higher than someone at the quarterfinal, and you not go to the semifinal, but the person who finished below you does go to the semifinal.
No, you can't do that.
No, you can't. Okay, because I thought it was because of 2.
They're going to take the top 60 from the quarterfinal for that region and put them in the semifinal.
regardless.
Well, that's for 3 of the semifinals, and then others have like 30 people.
Okay. So it still tracks that the best people move forward based on their last performance.
Yeah, a lot of the add-ons now are really 2 parts: worldwide rankings and then the strength of field. Which the strength of field they've just started to unpack the worldwide rankings. The strength of field they haven't really unpacked at all, and that won't be done until right before the semifinals, from what they've said so far.
I'm completely lost already.
Yep, that's fine.
It's okay. You're retarded. Don't worry, Sevan. So does someone want to try to explain this, or should I just keep asking questions? Because I got a lot of questions.
No, it's good when you ask questions.
Okay. So I do the open, and let's just pick a region for me. I do the open. I do the quarterfinals. I do those at home. I get invited to the semifinals. I go to the and at the quarterfinals, if they're taking 60 people, as long as I'm 1 through 60 somewhere, I move to the semifinals. My previous performances don't matter at all. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So then I make it. So then I get invited to a semifinal, and I go to a semifinal, and that semifinal is guaranteed 5 spots. Let's say it's 10, right?
Well, we can say that. We'll just say that we'll pretend you're in North America West, since you live there, and the minimum number of spots that they're guaranteed are 5.
Okay, so I finish in that top 5. Am I going to the games 100%?
Yes.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what my previous scores were anywhere else. Still doesn't matter.
Correct.
Okay, and then I go to the CrossFit Games, and if I win the CrossFit Games, I win the CrossFit Games.
Yep.
And then you are ranked number 1.
Well, fuck, that's a relief. I like that. I understand the shit. The show's over. Any questions? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Halpin.
Oh, no, I was saying goodbye to everybody. You just figured it out. No, and then you're Justin Medeiros, and you're the number 1 in the world, because they have said that if you win the CrossFit Games, you are then ranked number 1 in the world.
So what is this worldwide ranking? Is this worldwide ranking just a ranking just for the sake, because our sport needs a ranking, or is this actually part of how you get to the games? Maybe I misunderstood what this show's about.
We might be helpful with some visual cues. Do you want to bring up that slide deck that I created?
Is CrossFit actually have a ranking that anyone can look at now and figure out who the best or 5th best or 8th best CrossFitter in the world is? They're trying to step on our toes, Brian?
Well, more or less, yes. But
or we stepped on their toes and they're taking their toes back?
Go to the second one.
No, not that. The ranking, the power rankings that you and I are going to go over in a week from now, or 2 weeks from now, are completely different than the worldwide ranking system. And so we're going to talk about today, because yesterday CrossFit finally released some information about the worldwide ranking system, which is something that people have been looking forward to and having a lot of questions about. However, they released what I can only assume at this point is incomplete information, and then they seem to decide that whatever format it was presented in, they weren't happy with, and so they changed that.
Explain that again. You're saying there was some release, and then 6 hours later it was updated?
Yeah. Exactly that.
And they took out a lot of the detail on the second one. There was a scoring table on the first one. I think we have some screenshots maybe, but there was a scoring table on the first one, and that's the biggest thing they took out, because there's a lot of questions when you get towards the bottom of those scoring tables.
And what you two are interested in, and what Brian Spin and some other people are interested in, Tyler, and I'm assuming the athletes, is you guys are trying to figure out how the rest of the people will be allocated who get to go to the CrossFit Games. So basically, how many people get to go to the CrossFit Games in a division? It's 40, right?
Yeah.
And so based on what we just talked about, how many are allocated, guaranteed? What is that? 23. So there's 17 positions. Once all the semifinals are over, we have 23 guaranteed spots. There's 17 that will be allocated based on some formula, and that formula is called the world ranking formula, for lack of a better term, right?
Well, I think Mike can explain this probably better.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to pull that back up, I think it.
But basically, it's a relationship between the worldwide ranking and the strength of field, which we don't know a lot about yet.
Yeah. So
okay. I'm so confused again. Why does there have to be a strength of field and a worldwide ranking What's the
So-
distinction between those two?
So just to recap what you said so far on the screen here, you can see for North America East, North America West, Europe, just talk about those three. The top 60 men and women from quarterfinals will get invited to that semifinal. Then from the semifinal, at least 5 from East, West, and Europe will get invited to the games. Those other spots are dependent on who shows up to the semifinal, what their worldwide rank is, and then collectively what that group of athletes is compared to the other semifinals. So if North America East gets all the best people in the world to show up to theirs, they would get more spots than the next semifinal down, or in comparably to between like North America and Africa. If you want to use those two examples, sort of the
And
top,
when you say best,
top and bottom.
what determines what's best? That worldwide ranking formula?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, I'm starting to get how much I'm going to hate this. Okay. And then that's awesome. Thank you, Mike. And then what's the other thing you talked about? A strength quotient, strength
of field.
Strength of field?
The strength of field is the piece where they look at the one happening in Orlando and they'll say, here's the 60 men that are showing up. Well, in that field of 60, I think I have this somewhere too. If you want to bring that back up, sorry.
No, that's he loves it. You're giving Souza direction in
lot
his life.
of
Without
exercise.
you telling him what to do, he has no value to his life.
If you want to scroll way down, we're going to jump into the bottom here, but it's going to help visualize it a lot better. There should be one that number 20.
Did you
20.
make all these slides helping?
Yeah, I did. So
You're a
number
beast.
22 on there. So this is North America East, and these are the athletes that are in the top 100 for that region. So Saxon Panchik is the best in that region. If you just use the scale that they created yesterday, or that they released yesterday, and then there's 100 athletes from that region that could potentially show up to that semifinal. So those are all in the top 100. They're going to compare that of these athletes that show up. They're going to compare that to the athletes that show up to North America West, to Europe, to Africa, to Asia, to Oceania, and to South America.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and if you feel free to say you're not smart enough to understand, I will not take offense. What is that formula that puts Saxon Panchik ahead of Roman Krenikov?
That's
because I'm struggling here a little bit. I'm not dogging Saxon. Everyone, I think like if you wake all those dudes up, you've heard it before, at 3 a.m. and have them do Fran, I think Saxon comes on top. But I don't know if on game day I don't know if I can rank. I don't know if he's going to be higher in the rankings on Brian's ranking, top 100. I bet he's not.
No,
I froze halfway through there, but I think I got the most of it. You're saying that Saxon is not as good when he shows up?
No, how does CrossFit? Where does this come from? What did CrossFit do? What math did CrossFit do to put Saxon ahead of Roman Krenikov? Didn't Roman take like second or third at the games?
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah.
Brought to you by.
You're good, Souza. That's a new touch.
That's perfect. Okay, so keep Souza on his toes here. If you want to scroll back up, we can go into how they do math together. There's a little chart that has like 3 colors on it. It's like 6, I think. So we'll use our friend Brent Fikowski.
Okay.
He's done every event that they're going to look at so far. So he's a pretty good example of that. They take each of these finishes over the last 2 years, looking backwards,
Okay.
and they allocate points related to those finishes. So for placing in the top 1 percentile or 100 to 99 percentile, they have a point system for the open and the quarterfinals. Stick with me here.
Okay.
And then for semifinals, they have a table, which they've then deleted off their website. And for the games, they have a table, which they also deleted off their website. So, and then for both 21 and 22, they are using the same point system regardless of when they occurred. So all 8 of those events or competitions are included in the point system. So if you go to the next slide, this is the point system that they allocate for Brent Fikowski.
Hey, let me ask you this just really quick. So no one will ever be able to do this in their head.
Not easily, no, because you'd have to know your percentile finish for the quarterfinals in the Open.
Are there okay? Oh,
plus a points table to know
what. Halpin,
many
before we
points
go
you-
any further, can you justify this? Are you like, hey, Sevan, this is actually good? What this, like, do you have any quick arguments? Because I'm starting to like fume a little bit. Do you have anything like, hey, the reason why this is good is because it will increase interest in the Open, or long term it will help to athletes' health, or this will drive affiliate numbers up, or this makes it so we can follow more easily and get some betting going? Like, do you have anything you can throw me? So I'll last 4 minutes instead of 2 minutes when I'm boning my wife.
you love tennis, right? Do you actually keep up with tennis?
I try to. I mean,
Okay.
I don't actually try to, but like I watched the what's the one that just happened, the Australian Open. Yeah, I watched Djokovic's matches.
So the idea here is similar to tennis and golf, in which there's a worldwide point system, and the point system is allocated on the events that those athletes actually show up for and do during the season. And then that is trackable over hopefully years to then show how successful they are in the sport and why Saxon Panchik is better than Roman Krenikov when you're looking at them on a list comparably. So if they, and this is an F, because CrossFit has changed how they do the system over the last 5 years, at least 4 or 5 times. If they keep this system going, they should be able to show over a rolling 24 months, this athlete is better than this athlete when they show up to an event and when they compete in that event.
And so what I'm seeing now is the 21 Worldwide Open. Fikowski gets 990 out of a possible how many points?
1,000.
Okay, and then that's out of 2,000 for the qualifier. Then the semifinal, it's out of how many points?
You can get up to 4,000 in the semifinal, and you can get up to 10,000 in the games.
Wow. Okay, and then so you add all of these points up.
Yeah,
and that's their worldwide ranking, and then their worldwide ranking then somehow contributes to the difficulty quotient. What's that thing you're calling the other thing?
I like yours better. Strength of field
quotient, and that's what determines how many people get to go from your semifinals to the games.
Correct.
Holy shit.
They push
Who's
it over.
Double check their fucking math. They can't even. Who's going to double check the math on this every year? Is this Hiller's job? Who's going to double check? You're going to.
Probably me. So
this is wild. Wow.
In the last 24 hours, I've created a spreadsheet that has over 20,000 athletes on it that calculates their specific point total, and I believe it's correct. So I just put my dick on the table on that one.
Hold on, Halpin, real quick here, and then we'll talk about your dick. Will Brandstetter, Roman Krenikov is ranked lower because the data is from the past 2 years and he didn't compete at the games, so he got 0 points. Okay, that's what I thought too. Thank you, Will, for the clarification. But what if? Let me ask this real quick. And you don't have to answer this now, but we'll come back. Maybe this is a question for Brian. What happens if you switch regions? Because someone who comes from one region to it, let's say you switch from that Asia region where there's no good athletes, and so you got shitloads of points, and then you come over to like the hardest region. And anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, go ahead, Halpin.
So if you go back one, I want to show something because it actually. Yeah.
Hey, will we ever get used to this? Like in 5 years, will I be able to like just start? We're not sure. Okay.
They have to actually stick to it.
This seems like the opposite of becoming an L1 trainer. It's like a super high barrier to entry.
A lot of math.
Okay.
So if you look at his 21 Open, he got 22nd. If you look at his 22 Open, he got 992nd.
Bear with me here. 20. Okay. Yep. You're on the top column. Yep. Got it.
So 22nd, 992nd. Now, if you just go over one slide, I think you should just press the arrow.
It was that third booster he got. Go on.
He got the same points for both. So if you finish first in the Open, you beat 150,000 men or 150,000 women, you get 1,000 points. If you then finish second through about 1,400, you get 990 points.
So Sarah was right. The Open doesn't matter.
Bingo. So if you go to the next slide, it actually shows this and shows the language that they have. So this is the points table of the percentile. So between 1,000 points and 900 points, you can place between first and about 14,000th in the open, and you will still get 900 or so points.
But they have to do this, right? This is.
Yeah, they have to give some sort of thing, but there is no reason. I mean, to Sarah's point, as far as the open doesn't matter, besides some cash, there's no reason to win the open because it's worth 10 points.
Right.
On this system.
Right.
And
they have to do that because God forbid someone be ranked number 1, but they took 18th at the games. They have right. They have to bring all the horses up. They have to make it a close call up until the end, and then they give 10,000 for first. What's the games? What's the difference between first and second place at the games? 10,000 and 6,000.
Do you still have that points table?
I have it somewhere. Yeah.
But it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's a big gap.
Okay.
And they said this in a press conference that they had right after they first announced this. The winner of the games will always be number 1 on the Worldwide Open or on the Worldwide ranking. And that looks to be they've created a system that will always end with that outcome because the games winner will have thousands of more points than the next best person.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's going to be threefold. It's going to see if I understand what's going on. It's going to be to show off, and it's going to be, I don't know what the third reason is. Is Justin being in a region enough points in the worldwide ranking to affect the strength quotient enough that semifinal is guaranteed to have a 6th person?
I would use Oceana and Tia for that example, but technically the game's winner being there does help
a shitload.
Bit. Yeah.
Is there any way to know for sure? Like, can you look and be like, this amount, this strength? What's that? What is that thing called again? What is it?
Strength of field.
Strength. I got to write it down. Strength of field. This strength of field. Okay. I'm going to reset. Can we look at with all the data we have now? You wrote a program already for this? Like you made a spreadsheet and started plopping people in?
Mm-hmm.
How late were you up last night?
Late.
Yeah, you look pretty good. You don't have any bags in your eyes. You look younger than me and Brian.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh. Well, Brian, do we know from this thing that Halpin is given? Do we know now how many people are going to be going from? No, because they still have to do the open and the quarterfinals and the semifinals.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
But we could know without that information. We could say, hey, if there were semifinals today, this is how many each field would go. Do we have that information?
We could find that information. Yes.
Okay. You're a good dude.
There's hesitancy to put out information right now because CrossFit hasn't officialized it, you could say. You saw it with Brian at Barbell Spins post. You saw it with some of my stories. Everything says unofficial right next to it because what we've done is we've taken all the math that they put out there. We ran it against all of the athletes and then say, okay, these athletes look to be in these places. The issue there is, and there's quite a few of them, is that if you look at the individual detail of some of these semifinals, some of these athletes, they may not be there by the time this gets officially put out by CrossFit, or they may actually resolve some of those issues when this gets officially put out by CrossFit.
Can I see where it says what the numbers are? Not that it's going to mean anything to me, but it'll contextualize for everyone at home watching. Like, hey, this is what we're talking about. I think it will help a lot. Do we have a slide like that says, like you already showed one slide that shows, hey, if you take first through 1400, that's 990 points. Can you show me a quarterfinals one and a semifinals one?
Yeah.
And another thing you mentioned the games first place is 10,000 points. So those are two of the data points. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, in the what I sent you last night has screenshots with all of that information in it.
Oh,
I
right.
don't know how to send it in this chat.
I forwarded it to Caleb and Matt. If they could find it.
I know.
in
I was
that.
impressed with you.
If they could find it in that mess of shit I sent them. If they can't.
Which
Okay,
one? Which screenshot was it? What do you guys?
It's the
Hold
website
on.
screenshot.
Which
I heard
one?
if you
I got-
posted a black square on Instagram in 2020, you get 1,000 points. Seems
Sevan,
fair.
Souza, he wants to see the one that's like multicolored. It says like Africa, Asia, Oceania, North America, and then the far right column is the games.
And on a side note, Heidi will do Wad Zombie's taxes. Oh, can Mike do my taxes? Oh, fair question.
My wife does the taxes.
Oh shit, this is interesting. And wow. So the continents have different points.
Yeah, and Souza, there are other screenshots that show the rest of the table. I just don't have them all in one spot.
I could understand why. I'm trying to understand why you would have more points in certain continents. What's the importance of that? I can understand if you have more regionals, you'd have. No, I don't understand. I'm not able to make sense of that.
As you'll see when you look at this table, they're basically broken down by the number of game spots that they've had in the past. So that's why you have Africa on the far left, and they only have one game spot. Asia and South America both get 2. Oceania stands on its own because it had always gotten 3. For the last 2 years, it's gotten 3. North America and Europe, every semifinal had gotten 5. So this is a retroactive scoring system that's showing how semifinals points were allocated based on finish in the last 2 seasons. This exact scoring system will not be exactly the same for every region this year around during semifinals, because the number of spots every region has could change. Africa's might not change, and therefore they would have this same scoring table. Asia's might not change. They might have the same scoring table. But definitely North America, Europe, well, now there's North America, East and West, and also Europe will have at least 2 or 3 different numbers of spots being allocated. Let's just say it's 9, 10, and 11 in whichever order. Then they'll have a new table for the one that has 9, another table for the one that gets 10, and another table yet for the one that gets 11.
Oh boy.
But
Are there any women in the world who understand this? Holy shit.
But looking backwards,
can you tell me? We need to take a break for a second. I need some help. Why are we doing this? What is this? Does this help us make things more fair?
I would say the idea has the potential to. The way that it's being implemented has neglected several factors, in my opinion, and I'm not sure it's going to play out over time necessarily, but at least for this year, it's still not going to get it right.
Oh, and why do you think over several years?
Well, because there are many, as I've been saying about this, there are many problems about applying this system retroactively to the athletes. And as I think that we should have done is started with a clean slate. One of the biggest problems here, and this is what I was talking about for anyone who saw the barbell spin post, everything that he put up is accurate as far as we know. As far as the information that we saw yesterday, those are all accurate. And several of these guys have checked them against each other. What he did also was pull the top 40 from the worldwide rankings of men and women. And in the women's side of things, you saw that there were, I think, 13 from North America, 1 place, 13 from Europe, and then 7 from the other North America. That means there are 20 North American women ranked inside of the top 40 based on the current ranking system before anything's happened this year, and only 13 from Europe. But of course that's the case, because the U.S. women's field has unjustly, based on performance, been getting twice as many spots to the games for the past 2 years than Europe. And because the point system is so heavily weighted towards the games, North American women have a much stronger strength of field than they would have if the numbers were flipped and Europe had the chance.
So it's going to take a little while for that shit to unfuck itself, is what you're saying. And then the Ricky Garrard thing, it's not bad for Ricky that he's ranked low, but it fucks everyone else in the field. They have this monster there, but they're not getting credit for having to deal with him.
Yes, and Ricky is one of many examples, some of which Mike's also pulled aside and put into his little PowerPoint there. which is not actually a big PowerPoint now. And because there's a lot of different kind of micro examples that represent different problems. What if you competed on a team one year? What if you were pregnant one year? What if you did half the season but then got injured one year? And like you said, what if you move regions? And there's many other factors in play that can apply sometimes irrelevantly because whoever it is, and sometimes could have a major implication, as in the case of someone like a Ricky Garrard or an Annie Thorisdottir.
This is my son when he was a little boy. He's probably like, that's Avi when he was like 2. Don't make me ever take this picture down again.
Do you want to pull that back up? I could show you Ricky versus other people.
Mike, this PowerPoint presentation you made, is it actually a presentation you could give?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Wow.
And then we'll just rip on you. I mean, we'll rip on you and the system as it goes by.
I have to say like next slide to Sousa every 5 seconds.
That's cool. Sousa likes that.
If you go to the next slide.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Halpin is going to explain. This is
Let me get my pencil back up.
36 minutes into the show.
Point at it.
Mike Halpin is going to explain to you. You have to go do this in under 10 minutes, Mike. In 10 minutes, how you can make it to the CrossFit Games this year. Hey, so Halpin, before you start, are any athletes going to be able to does Jason Hopper going to be able to understand this?
That's a great example.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If it happens at Hogwarts, he will understand it. Yes.
Okay.
But
all right.
Maybe here not. So first example, actually, we already used Brent, but that was just to show that there are athletes that will do well in the system and have all of the data to complete an entire 24 months. This is Emma Carey. She just did very well at Wodapalooza. She's back this season. She's competing, but she stopped midway through the quarterfinals and took a last place finish in the quarterfinals, which is 5,082. Her finishes in the 21 season actually benefit her currently, but a big piece to point out here is that this is a rolling 24 months period. Again, way more complicated than it needs to be, but here we are. So with a rolling 24 months, by the time they do pre-semifinals, which is the third line down there, the majority of her best finishes, which allocate about 3,000 of her total points, will have fallen off. So if you click on the next slide, it'll show her points.
Oh.
So her current points on this point system is 8,390. But by the time they do the semifinals, she could be down to 5,420, which is just lopping off the 21 open, the 21 quarterfinals. But she could be up to a crazy number of 8,420, which, doing the math, is only 30 points better than she currently has. So for the NA East, she doesn't benefit them at all because her ranking can't actually change from right now until the time that they actually have to make the strength of schedule, because she has nothing to show for it after the 22 quarterfinals, because she finished last there getting a 0 and then doesn't have anything in semifinals and doesn't have anything in the games.
So sorry, real quick, the strength of schedule is only strength of field. The strength of field only is relevant for semifinals only.
It's the point at which it's calculated right before the semifinals is the most important point at which it's going to be used all season. From what they've stated, they'll continue to keep this up. So there is like a post-open version. There's a post-quarterfinals version, which would be obviously before the semifinals. And then there's even pre-games and post-games that they could technically do for this same thing. Because as it moves to the right, they're going to add the open to their ranking from 23. They're going to add the quarterfinals to their ranking from 23. And then right before the games, they could technically add their semifinal ranking and show out the ranking. And then after the games, they could do games through 22 if they wanted to.
Hey, how many people do you think at CrossFit understand this at CrossFit Inc.?
You want to call Dave up, see if he wraps his mind around
Dave doesn't even know there is a point system, I bet. If I see him, this is definitely a topic of conversation when he comes on the show here. I just got it soon.
So next slide, please, Souza. New example. I think we
Hey,
have.
oh, Souza fell asleep. Brian, is it important for the athletes to understand this? Does this affect strategy? Like, is Fraser sitting down there being like, okay, Mal, you need to do this, this, and this, and
I don't think it affects anyone like Mal necessarily because, like Mike said, she could finish first or 1,000th in the Open, and then the difference is 10 points, which is honestly for her it's a negligible amount. And basically the same thing at quarterfinals. Obviously, she's going to just try to do well enough at quarterfinals to make it to the semis, but regular effort from her will get her. She's not a lot of points to lose there either. And then at semifinals, I think that, as she would have done anyway, she'll, probably be trying to win it or, do as well as she can. And that's not going to change.
So Will, just so you know, it's not just Mike who's not answering my questions. Will Branstetter, I like how Mike never answers. They're playing it safe because they need a little bit of wiggle room. That's not a dig. They need wiggle room because I got one more question too. What are the Okay, sorry. I'm gonna hold this. Go on.
All right.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna go right straight through this one because this one's pretty easy. Yeah, next slide's perfect. So Ricky Garrard couldn't compete. He was suspended. He has nothing from 21. He did amazingly in 22. So he doesn't benefit Oceania really at all. He can jack up his score by 3,000 points if he wins the Open and quarterfinals, or again finishes in the top 1,500 or so. He could get up to about 13,000 points. Everybody's getting those points though out of these athletes, so it's negligible how much it really helps or hurts anybody because they're going to drop the 21 Open and quarterfinals. They're going to add the 23 Open and quarterfinals, and it's sort of a wash. And where Ricky is helped here is that he's getting rid of his 0 finishes across this, and he will be an athlete to look for next year on where he shows up on a list like this because of how well he did in 22, how well he looks to potentially be doing in 23 so far, like at Wodapalooza.
But it doesn't help him, Mike. You said it helps him. It helps those around him. Your points don't matter to you. They only matter to your field. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right? Like, who gives a fuck how many points you have? Right?
Well, CrossFit,
except for the people who are trying to like get more people to qualify through their semifinal.
Yeah, CrossFit has a grand idea for this, that it does go to other places where it could be helpful to smaller athletes with sponsorship deals. I don't think Ricky has that problem. And then it could be helpful to licensed events that are looking to have some sort of invitational process where they look at, hey, if you're top 100 in the world, you're automatically invited to this event, those sorts of things. Okay. So in some of those cases, it is beneficial outside of this exact strength of field measure or the worldwide ranking.
Did they consult you with this when they made this? Are you part of this?
No.
Okay, so I could say whatever I want it won't hurt your feelings.
Not at all.
Okay.
We'll get to all the problems here in a second. So I'm happy to talk about those. So if you want to go to the next one, Willie George, 55,000th in the Open in 21. He's going to get rid of that score as soon as he does the 23 Open. He then did similar to Ricky, because he did poorly in the 21 Open. I believe that was an injury. I don't want to hold that against him. Then he doesn't have anything to show for it. So same sort of thing. So next one, I think it does his points. Like he can add quite a bit, but again, all those athletes are going to drop points and add points and end up somewhere around there. And then next one, please. Oh, okay. So this is then the map of where these regions are. They are calling them regions again. They're not using the other weird terms, continents or whatever. So if you go to the next one, this is just a breakdown. This does not use the worldwide ranking. This is just unique men who have gone to the games over the last 2 years. So in each of these regions, color-coded, took me a little while. In each of these regions, that's how many unique men have gone to the games over 21 and 22. Again, as Brian said, the most points you can get is at the games. If you finish first, you get 10,000. I think on that chart, if you finish last,
7,000.
yeah. If you finish second, you get 7,000, and so on and so on. So finishing well at the games, or even getting to the games, because you would also get 4,000 to some thousand number by just qualifying at some of these regions. You're getting a lot of points off of that. If you go to the next one,
I want to. Can you go back for 1 second? So you're telling me that 29 men in the last 2 years, unique men, have gone from North America and 4 from Australia.
correct.
Okay, and so just for sake of ease, Australia has 30 million people, and let's just say we have we'll do it by 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll say we have 360 million people. Okay. So at first I thought that was weird, but just from the but actually okay. What do you is that bugging you, Brian? That 4 and 29 thing?
No, I mean, we knew that was the case because in those years, there were only a total of 6 spots available for Oceania. Well, potentially up to 8 if you count the last chance qualifier. And North America had at least 40 spots available.
So okay, because they have 1/12 the amount of people, and so they
Yeah.
still make out like bandits with 4. So, but okay. If you use that simple math, I know that's not the criteria based on a country's population, but it's just what I did for ease of use. Okay, sorry, go on, Mr. Halpin.
And then just to be clear on that men's one, this is stating that Roman he's counted as North America East. As soon as I moved him into North America East, all these numbers adjust for that. So the 2 people from Asia, I believe, are Artur Semenov and Ilan
Alexander Ilan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and if I use that same math for Asia, they need like 200 people going to the games.
Yeah. So if you go to the women, these are the unique women. Again, it's just sort of showing out the process. Europe's number 1 there. And then the next 2 slides do back to back. So these are the numbers that they have athletes. 10 athletes from the East went 2 years in a row now. So they are, again, going to be on the higher point side. They successfully went to the games twice. So they went to the semifinal and got those points there, as well as they went to the games and got whatever those points were there. So
do teams use this scoring? Does teams have this?
No.
They don't have a
for
calculator.
teams.
They can do that. Yeah.
Nothing for teams. And if you compete at semifinals or the games on a team in a previous year, you don't get any credit for that.
Okay. How about masters? Do they do any of this stuff?
No.
Okay. All right. Oh, shit. Sorry, Sousa. Sorry. Trish, I just remembered how excellent your interview with Sarah was and decided to momentarily reward you. Oh, thank you.
Monetarily.
Hey, you think it was me who was great, or you think she was great, or you think it was just which one? You think? I think any ding dong could interview her. Actually, that's not true. Never mind. Scratch that. So Halpin is a flat earther. Fair. Halpin, flat earther.
That's for another time and another place.
Wow. If you are, I'll have you on the show 10 times as much. No, you're not.
Sure.
Okay.
Darn. I should have
Fuck
said
that
it.
up. You fucked that up.
So again, some of these slides are quick. Women back to back. North America East is number 1, and then keep going. And some of these are 0. This is another review, but this is just North America East versus North America West, which is a big thing before this point system came out that we were looking into.
Wait, go back. I saw Colton's name. Explain to me what this is. This is
athletes that went to the games from these 2 regions and their 22 games rank. And so the color coding is sort of bucketing them to show how many athletes sort of fall into 1st through 10th, and then
okay,
and so on and so on.
So there's 4 other people at the level Sam Kwan's at that you didn't put their names in there, and there's 6 other Vellners.
Yeah.
And Colton, there's 32 other ding dongs.
No,
with
that's
them?
the place they finished at the games.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The women's one shows this a little bit better because
Thank you for catching Mike Halpin just yesing me like a dog, like barking
Yes,
at the
sir.
door. Yes, good
Yes,
dog. Good dog.
Yes. So this actually shows it probably the best when you're starting to compare these regions. Ariel Lowen is the best in the West. She can trademark that, maybe talk to me later. But it's sort of is based on who's there. So in the East, you have Mal, Danny, Brooke, Emma, so on and so on. And they have the majority of the games field is just in that one region.
Okay, hold on a second. Sorry, Brian. Do you know what you're looking at right now?
Yeah, these are the women who qualified for the CrossFit Games last year, and their placement. They're just split into two lists. The ones that
Okay, so this isn't their strength of field. This is their placement
No.
at the games. Okay.
But
This is
but you can see what the strength of field is relative to one another, because the athletes on the left are currently, for what we know about where they live, would be competing in North America West, and the ones on the right would be competing in North America East.
Okay.
And like Mike said, you have the highest ranking athlete in North America West that would be the 7th highest ranked athlete in North America East. But coming into the season at this moment, they're both guaranteed the same number of spots with an opportunity to earn more. So
Wow. Okay, this is good. Okay, good slide. This is sharing a lot with me. Okay. So Ariel Lowen's okay, I see.
She's also in my ranking that I did. She's 11th in the world. So it just happens to be that her ranking at the games and her ranking in the world looks to be the same.
So North America West is significantly weaker than North America East
for the women.
for the women.
And this came up with Danny Spiegel in an interview at Wadapalooza on the Buttery Bros YouTube channel, that Danny looked at the roster on the east side and stated that she was going to move from Ben Smith's gym to Invictus to do the Open this year because of this reason.
Smart.
Yeah. So if we want to keep going, I think I start.
Oh, shit. So that means Fuselier is going to the games again? Go back one more?
Well, maybe. I mean, she certainly has it appears that she has a better chance than being in the East. However, depending on what happens, with the rest of the information that we still need to get from CrossFit, we could see a situation where North America East and European women earn a majority of the 17 available spots. And let's say that in North America West, they only earn one extra spot. And now you see here that there are 7 women on this slide, and only 6 of them could go to the games. And that's not, and of course, there'll be many other women that will be in contention as well.
Right. All right. Well, I just like her odds. It'd be cool if she went back to the games. Okay.
So this now gets into the worldwide ranking. I'll just note I've removed the scores and their ranks because at this point I don't want to put out bad information to athletes by saying that their points are X and their rank is Y, because I feel like it just muddies the water. But it will, even on this thing, you can see I pointed to a certain athlete there by highlighting them. There's data in here that shows that CrossFit has to at least look at how they're going to do this. Phil Toon is disqualified from competing in the CrossFit Games, but he's currently ranked, as far as I can do it, number 100. So, in the way that looks is in his semifinal, he was disqualified. And if you go and look at it on the website, it'll show that. But in the Open for 21 and the Open for 22 and everything besides that semifinal, he has a ranking. So in the 22 Open, if you want to go to their website, they will show him that he still is ranked 5th in the world for men in the 22 Open. And that is counting for points for him, even though later in that season he was disqualified.
Hey, Mike, that Zach Watts, is Griffin Raleigh after Zach Watts? Does that go to the end and then start at the top again?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because I don't even know who some of these guys are at the bottom. Casey Crable, Norman Woodring. That is a great name. Woodring.
Do you know who Taylor Self is?
I do know. Wow, how the fuck is he in the ranking?
Because of his semifinal performance in 2021.
Okay. Oh, and Samuel Cornway was on a team. So
but this is reflect. He has points in this because of his games performance and his semi performance from 2021. He got no points.
Okay.
He had no points from the games or semifinals in 2022. He may have points from the quarterfinals or Open in definitely from the Open, and possibly from quarterfinals in 2022.
And then I don't know who Dylan Pettit is, or Riley Good, or Hal Fisher.
Yeah,
Mark
these
Hutchinson.
are all just semifinal athletes, but they're not competing for game spots.
Right.
Okay.
So, and again, yeah, this is ranked Saxon's first on this list. Phil Toon is last on this list, and it jumps back up to the top.
Okay, so you left out a bunch of people. This is just
No, these are all of the men in North America East who are ranked somewhere between first and 100th on the worldwide ranking that helped been created based on the data that was provided yesterday from CrossFit. Initially.
Okay. So there's 100
what he's
total in the
saying
ranking.
is-
These are just the ones on the East. In the East.
No,
And
there's
how many is
there's
that?
20,000 on the ranking. He's saying that that 39 of the top 100 belong to this one region.
Okay.
And so
okay.
by extrapolation to this thing that you've been wanting to know about with the strength of field, we don't know exactly what that formula is, but we could make some rough estimates based on a certain number. So if it was out of 100, if they were just to say, well, let's look at the top 100 men at this point, and how many of them come from North America East? 39. Okay, let's just say it's 40% of the men are in that region. There's 17 available spots worldwide to distribute. So that region's going to get 40% of them. So maybe they get 7 or 8 spots in addition to the 5 they're guaranteed. So now we have North America East that has 12 spots. We'll just say they got 7. Then they could look at North America West, say there were 20% of the top 100 men belong to North America West. So they're going to get 3 or 4 spots, something like that.
Okay.
Same thing in Europe, same thing in Oceania, and Asia and Africa.
Okay. And then someone was saying Rich Froning would be like 1,000th. No, he'd be at 1 millionth, right? Because he
Not
has
just
no
someone,
points.
Katie Gannon.
Oh, sorry. Was it Katie Gannon?
The
Sorry,
lovely,
Katie.
yes.
The lovely Katie Gannon. But Rich wouldn't be on ranked at all.
He'll have some points from the opening quarterfinals.
Oh shit. Okay.
He did not do the individual quarterfinals in
2022, but he probably did in 21.
So
Yeah.
okay, so he would have some open points.
So that is also a piece, and it goes to what Brian Spin put out earlier today. There's a few different ways to slice this, and the way that CrossFit has stated is they will only look at the 22 quarterfinal individual athletes for scoring them for this ranking. But the way that Brian did it and the way that I've done it, and I've done it both ways, is scoring everyone that has available scores to submit. So I did both the quarterfinals 2021 folks and the quarterfinals 2022 folks, and then anyone that did both. And that's how I have over 20,000 athletes that I'm looking at. But what CrossFit's likely looking at is closer to like 14,000 athletes. So, and that's men and women combined. So with that, there are athletes that will jump off the page, like a Samuel Cormier. He didn't do the quarterfinal 22. He was obviously on Mayhem Freedom. So with that, in CrossFit's scoring, they wouldn't actually list him. Maybe get to the comments.
So do you understand what he's saying? There was a clause in the initial article, and maybe it's in the second version of the article too, that said that they were only going to factor in 2022 quarterfinal athletes. So if that is just a blanket statement that's true, then Samuel Cormier would not be on this list and would not be contributing to the strength of field in North America East, despite potentially being one of the 4 or 5 fittest men in that region.
Okay.
Yeah. Then the
so
next
we
thing
need
that
this
goes
thing
on-
has to be around for years before we need a couple years before the dust settles at least.
Or you could have started with a blank slate, allowed everyone to earn an initial distribution and built upon it from there, which is what I've been trying to suggest for months.
The next piece that you have to look at is the Phil Tunes, the ones that maybe just shouldn't be on the list. There's also then teams athletes. If you want to go back, Ben Smith is on there. I believe he's going team. Tim Paulson's on there. I believe he's going team. There's quite a few others. So there is a possibility that they look at this list post-open or post-individual quarterfinals, and it's drastically different because a lot of these athletes that may be currently helping the list either shouldn't be there or won't be there by the time that they're allocating this for the semifinal. The next screens sort of just follow suit. So there's 28 of the top 100 in Europe for the men. We can keep clicking through unless there's any notable folks for Brian or Sevan. There's 22 in North America West, including the champion Justin Medeiros, as well as Pat Vellner and Brett Fikowski. There's only 4 in Oceania, and Ricky is ranked the lowest of those 4.
It's pretty amazing he made the list, right?
Yeah.
Not well. I mean, but by taking a
about
podium
midway.
spot at the games, you just get a massive boost.
Yeah. So he's about 49th, I believe. Currently, he's going to jump up over the next year. Jay Crouch is the only back-to-back games athlete from Oceania here, helping out the list. And again, similar to the other list that we look at, there's questions on Royce Dunn and Baden Brown and what they're planning to do this season. If they are not there, they are not helping the rest of Oceania.
There are two possible. Bruce Wayne has brought up a very good point. He says this system is dumb. I will give another option, or I'm dumb, but I'm open. I'm definitely open to both. Okay.
Baden Brown was back to back. Sorry, PC is correct.
PC is Patrick Clark. For those of you who've only seen the show 20 or 30 times, you'll get used to that. Okay.
In Africa, there's 3 athletes in the top 100. Jason Smith made it in 21 to the games. Keelan Henry made it in 22. And then Ruan
Duvenage has been in top 3 at semifinals in Africa.
Ruan Duvenage. You've heard of him, Brian? You know who that is?
Yeah. All the guys that you didn't know who they are, I know who they are.
He has the top 20,000 in his head. I just have it on a spreadsheet.
I want to see what this guy looks like. Does this guy have a nice body?
We might need a break from this PowerPoint slide if we want to check out what Ron looks like.
Instagram, Ron Duvenage, Instagram CrossFit. Let me just see. I want to see his body.
Oh.
But what I noticed from those last couple slides while you're looking up
oh yeah, he's
male
buff.
figures. Yeah. You got a good one there?
Yeah. He's big. This is a big fucking dude.
Are you gonna share it? You're gonna let us in on that?
He is thick. Well, there's nothing like that good. He's just well, maybe his body's not that good because it doesn't show it off. He's just a brick shit house. Oh, here, I'll show you. Here we go. This is like one of the best shots you have of his body.
That's what we're starting with.
I guess. I mean, did someone just pee? I have to pee. You can't pour water into a vase when I have to pee. I felt a little pee come out of the head of my penis when you do that. Don't ever do that again.
That's what gets me kicked off.
Not cool. Yeah, this is a big dude. Hey, does this dude ever go to the games, Brian? Does he have a chance?
I think he might be putting a team together this year. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I think he had. I'm not sure how old he is either, but I think he's one of the best guys consistently in Africa. And the way that Keelan broke through last year, like it's not impossible. Personally, I think Keelan will be tough to beat this year, but he's one of the guys that would have a chance if he does compete.
That'll lower your T count.
Pfizer.
And he's got some mental health issues. Anyone who owns a pit bull has mental health issues. Yep, I said it. Yep. Do you own a pit bull helping?
I have a bulldog.
Oh, there you go. Oh, wow. Holy cow. Wow. That's nice, boys. Those are real men. Okay. Okay, back to the show at hand. Where were we?
Well, so something I just wanted to point out here, since Mike did this nice. Do you have a graph that has all of them, Mike? No, that's all right. But 89 of the top 100 come from 3 regions. They come from North America West, North America East, and Europe. 15 of the 17 spots that are available come from those same 3 regions. And in the past 2 years, the other 2 spots have also been earned. The last chance qualifier spots have also gone to North American and Europeans. So there's, at least for the men, so there are 17, I think. Yeah, so of those, so it's 100 spots that come from those regions, but they might not get all 100 of those spots back. So this is what I was saying when they first made this announcement, is that they've taken all of the available spots from the best regions and they're just going to give them back to the best regions. So we're not actually going to end up with a more competitive field at the games at all. We're just going to redistribute.
No, theoretically they'll go to, they will just go back to the best regions, but it'll be more fine tuned, right, Brian? So like it'll fix the problem like possibly that we have in Australia or in Europe, won't it?
Potentially,
it'll be that's the whole point of it, right? Obviously, those regions are going to get the people back because they are just the best. They're better than Asia.
Yeah. So what I'm suggesting is that the 10 best men in North America and the 10 best men in Europe who didn't make the games last year are all basically just as good as the last 5 guys in from both of those regions. It's just a matter of really small margins at semifinals that some guys, that the bottom 0.25% of the North American European men get in, and the next few guys don't get in. So we've just taken away those spots to give them back to the same group of people. But we haven't. We still.
Are you saying that's a bad thing? I'm hearing in your voice that that's like a bad thing.
Well, ultimately, what I would like to have, and I think most people would like to have at the World Championship, the pinnacle event of a sport, is decent representation of the global population and the best in the world, and we want to get as close to that as we can.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, fine, give one to every continent, and just let them earn the rest of the spots, so that we, of those 7 spots that we distributed to regions, we know that the person from North America, the 2 from North America, the 1 from Europe, and the 1 from Oceania are definitely going to be good. We happen to have 1 guy in Asia right now, even though he's competing in North America, and 1 guy in South America that are really good. So of those 7 spots, if Roman was competing in Asia, 6 of the 7 are already really good. And then the next 33 spots we also know are going to go to guys that are really good. So now we're maybe looking at the fittest guy in Africa as the only person who wouldn't have qualified in an open format system where it was just the best 40. And it's a little bit of a rough example, but in this system, and especially because Roman's not in Asia, we know we're getting 2 spots from Asia. We know we're getting 2 from South America, and that outside of Guy, no one there has had a good performance in recent years at the games. We know we're getting 1 from Africa. No one's had a good performance there. No one's had a good performance from Asia except for Roman, and he's not there. So that's 2, 1, and 1. That's 4 spots instead of 1 that are 4 times as many spots that are going to guys who aren't necessarily competitive. We could have taken those extra spots away from South America and Asia and Oceania the same way we took them away from North America and Europe, and then given them a chance to earn them back. And they still have the same chance to earn more on top of that if they perform well enough, regardless of what the system is.
Logically, what you're saying makes sense to me, but it seems a little weird to have a competition if you just outright know who's going to win. Like a Gia for Roman, or if these people land in these regions.
No, I completely disagree with that. Like, you always have to show up and play the game. You can't just assume that they're going to win. Anything could happen. Otherwise, we would have just, sorry guys, Tia showed up again this year, so everyone can just go home.
Well, no, we don't do that because that region had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever.
I'm talking about the games every year for the past 4 years. Did you think anyone else was going to show up there and win if she didn't?
No. But at least then we got to see a competition for the other 2 podium spots. Wouldn't it just be awkward to have a South American regional if you're only sending 1 person to the games?
They did it. They've done it before, and there's other things that are worth fighting for. There's still prize money that gets paid out besides the game spots.
Okay.
And there's now we have a point system. So even if you're not making the games, you're still contributing to a point system that could potentially have an impact down the road.
Yeah, that's a good point. You said there could still be money, and that could still draw people there. Okay, fair enough. Guy and Roman came up at some point too, Sevan. They had to beat someone to get in. Yeah, I guess it's easy to forget that. Another great point. Super easy to forget that. Okay. How many times did Roman do did Roman do the regionals, but when he didn't come to the games, besides the visa issues? Did he ever have to do any, or did he just show up on the scene and dominate? Please tell me he did. That would make me right and Katie wrong. Please tell me. Please tell me.
2018 regionals, he showed up and dominated.
Shit. Oh no, that makes me right and Katie wrong. Okay, sorry, Katie.
Regionals, yeah.
And how about Guy? Did Guy ever show up to a regionals and not qualify?
Well, he showed up at the games and got cut his first year.
Yeah, but did he ever show up to a regional and not qualify?
He was a teen before that.
He never competed at a regional.
Oh, well, sorry, Katie. They never did have to come up. They just showed up and kicked ass. Sorry, I take that back. I win that one. Sorry. Okay. Where were we? Do we have more of the slide presentation? Here's where I'm at so far. I think I understand it enough to know that I'm not gonna ever understand it fully. Where it means I'm not gonna be able to do the math in my head. I'm always gonna have to wait for someone to tell me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's okay. I mean, that happens in a lot of sports.
Okay.
There are some sports it doesn't happen, but there are a lot of sports that it does. And more often than not, that's the case in individual sports. And usually in team sports, it's much more straightforward.
Okay, Halpin, is there more on this slide presentation?
Yeah, I can show you the women.
Okay.
Well, there's a few more men. Guy and then yep. And okay, so this is North American East women. 36 of the top 100. It's what we talked about before. It's the most stacked women's field. Then there's Europe on the next slide. Yeah, 31. So a call out here. Annie Thorsdottir, again, is on my list. It likely won't be on CrossFit's. Also, 2 above her, Kristen Holte, is retired. 1 above her, Sam Briggs, is retired. Did we lose Sevan?
Just keep going.
Okay. Oh, wait. Yeah, thank you, Souza. And they do make a comment about this in both the first version of the article as well as the second version of the article, that if there are athletes that aren't currently ranked, they will go back and review them and add them to the ranking. So if Annie does go back to the individual field, she didn't do quarterfinals 2022, therefore she's not in their current rank. She will get a rank, and I've already ranked her, and she's I forget exactly where, but she's in the top 50 worldwide.
And we can assume that they'll do the same thing with athletes that are no longer competing. Like the fact that Kristen and Sam show up on this chart, but if they don't participate in this year's Open or quarterfinals, then they may go back in and manually remove them from the list as well. We're assuming that. But again, in the same vein as with the men, you can already see 36 women in North America East, 31 in Europe. So now we're at 2/3 of the top 100 that coincide or reside in these 2 regions alone.
Mm-hmm. And so if you keep going into West on the next slide.
This reminds me of when you're at a party and everyone is kind of drunk, someone gets out a board game. Everyone's like, yeah, this looks fun. As the leader starts reading the rules. Oh my God. Hey, and then there's some people who like take it or like dead serious, like trying to get it. Like, these are the rules. Stop fucking around. Case like Katie Gannon. I'm saying if Roman or Guy were not in the field and then all of a sudden were, who says there isn't a future Roman coming up too? Yeah, hypothetically, I agree with you. I'm just saying those 2 examples, those guys just came in and have been dominating ever since. And which kind of makes those competitions because there is no second or third place. Although Brian did say they do get prize money, so I guess that's kind of okay. Go on.
So another 21 to the North America West, no problem at all. And then it just falls from here. Back on, clicking around. Back on Oceania on the next one. So this is one of the only places I call out points. Tia has 33,990 out of a total possible 34,000. The only thing she did not do was win the Open in 2022. She came second, so she got 990 instead of 1,000.
Damn, she's good.
And she could have come 1,000th and gotten also those 990 points.
Hey, she should try pregnant.
But now, Sevan, this is a good example.
80%. Just go 80%. Go on, Brian.
This is a good time to talk about your question from a while back of how much of an impact does Tia have on the strength of field in Oceania.
Yeah.
So if they do it based on the total number of athletes that are in the top 100, like I mentioned as a previous example, and she has a 20% weighted because there's 5 women in there, and she's 1 of 5, and she's weighted evenly. If they do it based on the points, then her weighting percentage is 50%, basically 45%, because the 34,000 points she has compared to the 37,000 of the other 4. So that's where, and I think Spin mentioned this in the comments as well, that's where we, although we're talking about this and we're trying our best to understand it, we still don't know. And that's what I thought was most frustrating about yesterday is there was incomplete information. This is what everyone wants to know. And all you gave us was a formula that is confusing to most people. And then you pulled it down and you didn't provide the strength of field formula, and you didn't even provide your own worldwide rankings.
Have they still not provided their own worldwide rankings?
They still have not provided the worldwide rankings.
Let me ask this, and I know you guys have answered it, and I'm just not listening good, but bear with me here. When which since it's a rolling strength of field score after each event, the last one falls off. Which group will they take for semifinals? Will they pick the semifinal people? Will they pick for the games? Will they pick it right at the start of the season? Which would mean that if Tia does enter the Open, her score counts for Australia? Because theoretically, you're going to guess that she's probably still going to sign up for the Open, right? At least to help out her continent. If they use that block, which block are they going to use to make this strength of field world rankings calculation? You guys see what I'm saying? I'm not asking it perfectly, but do you feel what I'm getting at?
They're going to use go ahead.
It's going to be the 2021 semifinals through the 2023 quarterfinals.
Oh, that's fucked. That's fucked.
Back half of 2021, the front half of 2023, and the entire season of 2022.
Man, I think that's a mistake too. But anyway, but she should still enter the Open and try to help out her crew instead of taking a 0.
Oh, but the thing is that by doing that, it may or may not help, because what Mike said earlier in the show is that they're going to look at the semifinal fields for this year, and then the strength of field will be determined based on those athletes. What we don't know, if she was in the field and they were going to take, for example, let's just say that they said, okay, these are the I can't remember the number, 300 athletes that made it to semifinals around the world. And they have a total of 850,000 points cumulatively between them. How many of them are in Oceania? Well, if it ends up being 80,000, 10% of those points, because Tia's in the field, that's a massive impact. If she's not in the field and it's only 40,000, that's 5% of the points. They're only going to get half the number of spots by missing her. But if they don't care about the total points distributed around the world, if they use a different model where they only look at, well, of these 300 athletes, how many are from Oceania? There are 8 of them, and that's 2% or whatever it is. That's then her bearing of taking her, adding one person or not is going to have a negligible effect on it.
Can you imagine having the greatest athlete of fucking in the history of the sport in your field, and then the one year they start this scoring system, she's pregnant and drops out of the field that needs it the most?
Well, in the past, they have. Going forward, we don't know.
Right. Oh, I'm missing a 60-minute show. Speaking of 60 minutes, Sousa, that's a great time for you to drop in your soundbite.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Don't worry. The Idaho murderer is fully boosted. He's fine, Patrick. Appreciate your concern. Okay. Well. Okay. Whatever happened with that guy? Did he know those people? Do we know?
I don't even know what he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he knew him.
He did.
It was like a whole weird thing. Yeah. And
are there any accomplices? Are there any accomplices?
Not that I know so far. No.
Okay.
Creepy.
No one is fully boosted in Idaho. Fair, unless you're in Boise. Okay. Was that the last slide?
It trails off from there. After Oceania, there's Africa and Asia and South America.
Let's go through them really fast. You put in the work to see them. Let's
Sure. Oh, actually, I forgot about this slide. So just comparatively, this is what Brian was literally just talking about. So there's a lot of ways to do this, but if you took the average of the 30 athletes from Oceania, if all the best athletes in Oceania showed up to their semifinal, let's just look at it that way, their average would be 7,500. Without Tia, their average would be 6,500. Well, if you compare those averages to North America East and Europe, where all the rest of the athletes are for the women, North America East is 9,400 and Europe is 8,800. So,
dude, this is your best slide. We almost fucked this one up. Okay, so Tia don't do shit.
It was 3 a.m. I was doing this, guys. So,
yeah. Sorry, Tia. Everything I said about you, I take back. You don't fucking move the needle at all. Okay.
Well, and that almost speaks to the look back as well as just the opportunity that there's only been so many athletes from Oceania to go and get points.
Right.
So
right. Okay.
The athletes that are there are drastically weighing it down when you look at the top 30 of Oceania versus the top 30 of North America East or Europe, where the majority of that 30 from either of those went to the games.
Hey, dude, I think they got to do this by number of affiliates. I think, hey, I'm dead serious. I think you got to do each region by number of affiliates. Fuck everything else. Hey, you can't separate the games from CrossFit. And there's something weird going on, and you got to tie it to the affiliates. And then when you do that, I wonder how Australia does. You got to have I would much rather see an affiliate component than all this other fucking crazy shit. Me personally.
I'd like to actually see the math on that because I looked at it before, and I don't know that they changed that from the time that they created that rule through the years that they were saying that it was based on affiliates.
Yeah, I'd love to see it based on affiliates. I'd love to, or at least it be
based on affiliates, Mike, or based on open registrations.
Oh, I'm sorry, based on open registrations from affiliate. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine too. Yeah, I like that. Open registrations from affiliates. That's fair too.
The previous rule was open registration numbers for each continent.
Yeah, but Sevan, it goes against the nature of the CrossFit Games origins. Greg had said, "You think you have a fitness model that's better than ours? Whatever you're doing, come here and show me."
Right. But why not just go through an affiliate and do it? Just go over there. All you got to do is the open. All you got to do is
someone can say, "No, I'm training outside of my affiliate. I have a training plan that's better than your best one."
Cool. Go take that. That's awesome. I agree. I agree. You might have that. You could just go to a local affiliate and pay the $50 and enter the open. Then have them judge you there.
If the rules are that that's the only way to qualify, then they'll do that. But they have a current rule where you can do it anywhere you want as long as you have the equipment and the space, and all you have to do is upload a video.
Okay.
I do the open from my garage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's good. I like that album. But I'm just saying, if you want to go, there's got to be some way to tie the affiliates in recognition of how many places you give to the games is what I'm saying. You've got to.
In looking at the marketing that they're doing and the push that they're doing, I think they are trying to get things back to affiliates. I'm actually.
Hey, Katie, sorry. Careful, buddy. Careful there.
I think there is a push to get people back to affiliates. I don't know that I don't know that they're going to keep linking games qualifying spots to affiliates or to open registration because I think it's been an anchor for certain continents for a period of time where they're just not getting the push that they thought they would off of doing.
Plus, it goes against Sevan's argument for every other competition, which is that this is a sport.
But you know what I'm gonna do to shut you? No, I'm not. I was gonna shut you guys up who say that great dumb shit. I was gonna say I'll affiliate my garage, but I'm not doing that. Okay. Next slide.
I know somebody that's doing that.
Yeah, a ton of people have done that. Yeah. CrossFit was smart. They would give me a free affiliation.
Okay, this is back to it. So both Michelle's and Dina from Africa, and then I think it's Asia and South America.
All right.
Or backwards.
I know who these people are.
Oh, that one I forgot to take their points out. So there you go, everybody.
Julia Cato was the girl that Brian had to apologize to at the games last year. Victoria Campos was on the team with Sarah Sigmund's daughter at Wadapalooza. Just showing off a little bit. Sun Young Choi, one of my favorite names to say in all of the sport, next to Bjorgvin Carl Goodmanson.
She did 6 laps in the bike to work event.
Wow. Good stuff, Halpin. Was she the only one who did that?
She wasn't supposed to, so yes.
That's a cultural thing. That's a cultural thing. Asians always go above and beyond. That's cultural. Okay.
I think that might be it. Yep.
Would it be possible for you to sum up so that I could make a clip for this for my YouTube station in 3 minutes how you get to the CrossFit Games this year so that I can monetize it and everyone have to come see it? Thank you, Katie. Oh, listen, any parts of any shows you watch that you think should be clips, please in the comments put the time code. Do me a favor, dude. Pay it forward. And I'll make those into.
That is actually a good idea.
I'll make those into subclips. I need to say that at the beginning of every show, not at the end. You fucking ding dong. Fuck, I fucked that up, Suze. I said it at 1 hour and 24. You got to tell people at the beginning of the show, not you, me.
Hey, we're close. That's all right. We got it in.
got it in the show.
Everybody go back and watch it and get those views up.
Yeah.
And then comment.
Go ahead. Who wants to take a stab at explaining it?
You want to know how to get to the CrossFit Games in 2023?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to get to the CrossFit Games in 2023, you need to sign up for the Open. You need to complete all the workouts. You need to follow the rules. Probably you'll have to have your videos approved to advance to the next round, which is going to be the quarterfinals. When the Open ends, shortly after that, you'll get ready for the quarterfinals, and you'll have to do workouts on 3 successive days. This is for the individual division. Looks like there'll be 2 workouts on day 1, 2 workouts on day 2, and 1 workout on the final day. If you do well enough relative to your region, which is what they're calling it, competitive regions this year, then you will advance to the semifinals. Between the quarterfinals and the semifinals, CrossFit will use the new worldwide ranking system in conjunction with the strength of field metric that they have yet to announce to determine where to allocate a currently outstanding 17 game spots. Those will be added to guaranteed minimums in each of the 7 semifinal locations that have already been announced. And then we'll know going into the semifinal stage exactly how well athletes have to do at each semifinal if they want to earn a spot to the CrossFit Games. After the semifinals have happened, we'll just look at the leaderboard, and anyone who's above the line in each region will be added to the games field. And assuming that no one fails a drug test or decides not to participate, then we'll know the 40 men and the 40 women who will be competing for the title of fittest on earth at the 2023 CrossFit Games in Madison, Wisconsin.
One point here, but the strength of field formula has been given.
No. The worldwide ranking system formula was shown on their website for a period of time yesterday.
But it's no longer there.
It's no longer there in as much detail as it was originally. And there is at the last sentence basically of their on the website right now in that article says that there will be more information coming about the strength of field and how that will be assessed between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Additionally, we can expect that at some point, probably very soon, that CrossFit will actually publish their own worldwide ranking system.
Got it. This is can I do hop over burpees in Sevan's garage and make it to the CrossFit Games? As long as you're not over 5'7", then your head will hit the ceiling.
Sevan, do you want to know my favorite rule that completely undoes what Brian just said?
Please. Oh yeah, this is good.
CrossFit has the ability to do whatever they want.
Yeah,
those
good.
aren't the legal terms. Tia Claire Toomey could be at the games in 2023 if CrossFit and her decided to.
When just for shits and giggles, when, the babies due when? May? April, May? Yeah, so she would need, yeah. If she tried that, her uterus would fall out on the field. It would be bad luck for the bad luck. Will Brandstetter, the strength of field will use the worldwide rankings to determine how strong each region field is compared to the others. Yeah, that right. So it's
what part of the worldwide ranking? Will they use their worldwide rank? Will they use their point system? Will they look at the top 100? Will they look at all of the qualifiers? Will they look at a number bigger than that? So he's right, but what exactly that means, we don't know.
Oh, this is okay. And I'm glad you guys are having that discussion because it's a little muddy for me. But when I hear you guys talk about it, I understand it for a split second. Katie, no one taller than me is allowed in my garage, and I'm only 5'5". Sorry. Nope.
Just keep trying.
Go ahead, Brian.
I mean, ultimately, that's what I thought was the biggest letdown of yesterday is that we didn't get the full picture. I mean, everyone has been waiting for this information. We were told it would come out before February. It did, but only in part. And so now we're, and everyone's obviously took notice of it, started doing work with it, wants to talk about it, but we still don't have the full picture. And we're 2 weeks from the Open.
Yeah. Do you think we'll have it by the Open? I bet you we don't.
I think we will. I think we will have the worldwide rankings from CrossFit by the Open. I don't know if we'll have the information about the strength of field.
Okay. You would think, well, I guess that's important too, because theoretically that could affect people's motivation or effort or strategy with the Open.
Yeah, it came up in Sarah's interview. She said it wasn't her region. She said it was Oceania that was all texting each other to push each other along and get more spots at the Open. I mean, get more spots at the games. So it might push them along that way, but it is a group effort in those cases. They all have to do well in comparison. comparison.
All right. I don't think this is the last you've heard of this. We will do another show that tries to put you to sleep. Wow, look at this. Okay. Will there be more exciting shows on something tonight? No. Hey, you want to see a crazy show? Be here at 7 a.m. tomorrow. I'm telling you, it is going to be. It's Seth Gruber's coming on, and it is going to be. This dude doesn't like people killing babies. He's made it his life to stop baby killing, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be weird, and I'm going to love every second of it. I think it's going to be fun. Okay. Scott Perkins, complete shit show. Oh, okay. Final thought. Is there some party that's feeling optimistic about this?
I think that in the long run, having a worldwide ranking system can be valuable for several reasons, and especially some of the things that Mike talked about earlier. I think that there needs to be a bigger kind of collaboration between the obvious and successful off-season part of CrossFit as a sport and the CrossFit Games season, and that the levels was introduced last year. It kind of fell flat. This will have a better chance to give competitions who are maybe trying to target a specific caliber of athlete, because what will become, as long as they stick with whatever the system is, then there will become some understanding that, okay, if you have between 1,000 and 3,000 points in your worldwide ranking, this is the type of competition that's appropriate for you. And if you have 3,000 to 5,000, probably too good for this caliber of competition. Here's a maybe group of competitions that might be good for you. And then it can be somewhat of a filtering system where we might start to have that worldwide ranking actually matter for people who are trying to participate in some of the off-season events. So,
Will, did he answer that question? How about Will? Did he answer that? Mike Halpin, thoughts on if this is, or is there anything you like about this? Is there anything you don't like about it? Like, is it too early to tell?
I think it has promise. I think it's even the details that they have changed in the last 24 hours. So it's still a lot to be shown. But if they take this and run with it for 5+ years and actually show it out, then I think it could go a long way to actually proving if Oceania ever needed more spots, or if some of these other regions can all come together and actually get more spots from North America. Right now, it still shows the same gauntlet that was there before, that North America and Europe will continue to garner all the spots. And there's not much currently that these athletes can do about it, as this scoring system doesn't reflect an ability to do so. I actually believe that this could actually morph into something better because of the current system that they're going into a semifinals. All of these athletes will do all of the same tests through the entire season. And if that is the growth that they're looking for over the next 2 years to look back on and go, Justin did the exact same tests as this athlete, Keeneland Henry, in Africa, and here's actually where they compare and where they don't. And that could be something that's huge for this sport, where they're actually all doing the same thing, and then they're all judged on that. And that actually shows who is the best athlete, regardless of where they come from and who they're competing against.
Do you wish you would have said that, Brian? That was pretty good.
Well, you asked him a different question.
Oh, okay, fair. That was pretty good what he said. Okay, listen, people. I want everyone to go to the comments and give this a thumbs up, and then write your honest and true thoughts about this show, what it did to your brain. Tell people that don't even bother watching this. It's too complicated for anyone with an IQ over 170. And Mike Halpin's the new guy. Just make some sort of fucking wise ass comment down below, please.
I'll be there.
Not you, Katie Gannon. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone. We are not done with this. Caleb Beaver is back in town. Oops, sorry, looking at porn. Matt Souza. Thank you. Look at him. How dare you?
Everybody's got a fucking crash sweatshirt except for you and I, Sevan. I don't know what's up with that.
Losers.
It's true.
Okay. Bye-bye. Halpin, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Peace.